I wonder, have any of you ever noticed that most games which primarily feature bubbles or balloons or other such air-filled entities tend to suck? In my early days of game design, I always found that curious. Now, Bubble Bobble and Balloon Fight are two good games and two very important exceptions to this generalization, and design experience has taught me that they work because you can't just replace the bubbles or balloons in those games with anything else, otherwise they'd fail miserably. Today on Ancient DOS Games is another example of such a game that works, Bubble Ghost. It works because you can't just replace the bubbles with anything else, otherwise the game wouldn't work anymore. Granted, it is a very short game, so this probably won't be a very long review. Anyways, enough with the intro, let's see some game stats. Although the original version of Bubble Ghost was made for the Atari ST in 1987, the game was ported to numerous computers and even the Nintendo Game Boy. The DOS version was developed by ERE Informatique and published by Accolade in 1988. It's a 1-to-2 player arcade-style game featuring multiple 320x200 graphics modes, specifically CGA 4-color, Tandy 16-color, and EGA 16-color. The Tandy and EGA modes look practically identical, but have some interesting differences. I'll talk more about the graphics modes later. Sound is limited to PC speaker, go figure, and the release date as far as I can tell is still commercial. Finding the Game Boy version of this game actually is a piece of cake, and you could easily go somewhere like Amazon or eBay and get it for under $10. The DOS version, on the other hand, is extremely hard to find nowadays. I wasn't even able to before making this video, though I did find the Amiga and Commodore 64 versions for about $25 each, so I imagine if you do manage to find the DOS version, the price will probably be comparable. Now, you're not going to believe this, but this game actually has a story. A short but weird story. Apparently, a crazy inventor by the name of Heinrich von Stinker has died, but his ghost has been seen blowing bubbles around his gadget-filled castle. In order for Heinrich to finally rest in peace once and for all, his ghost has to successfully navigate a bubble out of his castle, past all of his crazy and dangerous inventions. My guess is that he has to do this so that the bubble will carry his spirit away or something. Well, that's just a guess. I mean, the story in the manual is quite literally just a single paragraph, so all I'm doing is trying to exaggerate it so that this episode lasts a little longer. The gameplay is as simple as it looks. You move the ghost around using the arrow keys or numeric keypad, Q and W are used to turn the ghost around clockwise and counterclockwise, and spacebar blows. That sounded so wrong, but it's literally what you're trying to do in this game. Like, how else am I supposed to say it? Well, I suppose I could have said you just use spacebar to blow the bubble around, but the thing is you can blow at things other than the bubble, such as at the flames of a candle to put it out, at a metal prong to bend it over, or into a trumpet to make a strange head-like thing fall over in agony. Which is weird, but whatever, just roll with it. Now, even though there's a total of 35 different halls to face, you can repeatedly practice any hall you're having trouble with from the main menu, and you can also take a couple of shortcuts once you get really good with the controls. Hall 14 is a shortcut to Hall 21, and Hall 27 is a shortcut to Hall 32. The only catch with taking the shortcuts is not only will it reduce the length of the game, but it'll also reduce the size of your score. So if you're going for a high score, taking the shortcuts is not recommended. Your score is based primarily on bonuses achieved for clearing the halls as fast as possible. The faster you can do it, the more points you get. You also get some points for blowing at the various interactive items. As for the controls, they may take a bit of getting used to because they're not very responsive, and at seemingly random moments will trigger 2 presses instead of 1, either causing you to turn twice when you only meant to turn once, or blow the bubble much further than you intended into a wall or something. One recommendation I can make is to never attempt to blow the bubble a tiny distance with a wall right in its path. Instead, what you should do is back the bubble away from the wall a little, then attempt to get it where you want it. This way it'll be far less likely that you'll overshoot and pop the bubble, and if you undershoot, you can simply back it off and try again. That said, the difficulty is not only going to stem from the unresponsive controls, but also from the graphics mode you choose. This is one of those rare cases where the different graphics modes have severe gameplay differences. The EGA mode is most likely the one most of you will play, and it's also the easiest. For some curious reason, the obstacles in the EGA mode move much more slowly compared to in the Tandy mode where they move much faster. Thus, playing the game in the Tandy mode will be much more challenging. There's also a 4-color CGA mode, but it's not even worth the effort, because some of the obstacles in it are invisible. In other words, you can't tell if and when they're in your way. So basically, EGA is easy, Tandy is hard, and CGA is unfair. Choose accordingly. Now, even though the game looks pretty simple, there are a couple halls that are going to give you nightmares, specifically Hall 29 and Hall 33. Hall 29 requires you to get the bubble down 2 narrow corridors with fans doing the work. The trouble is that the fans will catch the bubbles before they clear the opening into the corridors. Thus, if the bubble doesn't have enough momentum, they'll be popped right against the edge of the opening. Yet because of how narrow the corridors are, if you blow the bubble too hard, it will pop against the wall on the opposite side. So essentially you need to take 2 perfect breaths in a row to get the bubble through these corridors. Now you could take the shortcut in Hall 27 to skip Hall 29, but no matter what, you will have to face Hall 33, and it is nasty. The entire hall is made of narrow openings, and there's laser barriers getting in the way as well. No matter how good you are at this game, Hall 33 primarily comes down to luck because of the inconsistent nature of the controls. Now, from what I understand, in other versions of Bubble Ghost, the bubble drifts very slowly for a moment after you finish blowing at it, and that would have made this hall a heck of a lot easier. Now, I got lucky on my playthrough here and managed to clear this hall on my first try, but trust me when I say I've lost entire stocks of bubbles on this one hall before. So overall, there's not really much else to say. Bubble Ghost is a simple game, it's a fun game, and at times it can be an anger-inducing game. I think the best way to sum it up is that if you like what you've seen, you'll probably like playing it too. As for Dosbox Settings, the graphics scalers do indeed make the game look nicer, but the cycles count is going to depend on the video mode you choose, because setting the cycles to auto or max will make the game go ridiculously fast. The Tandy mode works best with around 450 to 550 cycles, and the EGA mode works best with around 1600 to 1800 cycles. Though the cycles count you choose is also going to alter the way that sound effects play back. Oh yeah, there's also copy protection you gotta worry about, just like every other Accolade title from the 80s. You know, for all kinds of reasons, I actually recommend skipping on the DOS version of this game and going for one of the many other ports instead. Anyways, that's all for this episode of Ancient DOS Games. Stay tuned for episode 28, where we're going to be covering the first game ever released to use blazing renderer technology. Whatever that was. If you know what game used it first, then send your guess to ADG at pixelships.com and tune in next Saturday as we see for ourselves just how blazing it really is.